The police sirens wailed sharply as two cruisers rolled into my driveway with lights flashing red and blue. I stood there, arms crossed, feeling a strange mix of disbelief and quiet satisfaction rising in my chest. Cynthia, the HOA president, pointed at my gleaming driveway with a triumphant sneer on her perfectly made-up face. She had actually called 911, claiming my creative repair was now a dangerous public hazard. I could not believe this woman had escalated a simple pothole fix into full-blown police involvement. To understand how we reached this absurd moment, I need to take you back a few weeks. I had moved into this quiet suburban neighborhood hoping for the peace and stability everyone promised. The houses sat in neat rows with identical lawns, and the HOA enforcing every tiny detail. Everything felt calm until I noticed a small pothole forming in my concrete driveway after winter. It was nothing major, just a shallow dip that held a little water after heavy rain. Yet the very next morning an official violation notice appeared taped firmly to my front door. The fine was $250 for failing to maintain my property to their high standards. Cynthia, as board president, had signed it herself with her usual bold and authoritative handwriting. She was the neighborhood Karen who thrived on petty power and loved controlling every little thing. I sighed heavily while reading the notice and decided I would handle the repair the normal way. But something inside me snapped when I pictured her smug expression and endless stream of rules. Instead, I chose a creative solution that would technically comply while making her absolutely lose her mind. I spent hours researching crystal-clear epoxy resin perfect for durable art-style repairs and river tables. Then I ordered several gallons plus a collection of bright exotic toy fish from an online supplier. Those little plastic fish looked so realistic with their neon colors and detailed tropical fins. On a warm Saturday morning, I cleaned the pothole thoroughly using my pressure washer outside. The spray of water soaked my shoes, but the fresh scent of wet concrete filled the air around me. I positioned each toy fish carefully inside the depression, arranging them in lively swimming poses. The epoxy mixture had a sharp chemical smell that made my eyes water slightly in the sunlight. I poured it slowly, watching the crystal liquid flow and perfectly encase every single fish. As the resin cured under the bright afternoon sun, the surface transformed into a shimmering gem. Sunlight danced through the clear epoxy, creating tiny rainbows across the frozen exotic fish below. Neighbors walking past stopped in their tracks, some chuckling softly at the unexpected sight. One friendly older lady even paused to compliment how it brightened the whole block beautifully. I smiled calmly and told her it was simply my way of fixing the required HOA pothole. But Cynthia spotted the change the very next morning, and her reaction was pure predictable fury. Her luxury SUV screeched to a halt right in front of my house with tires protesting loudly. She marched straight up the driveway, her heels clicking angrily against the pavement with every step. "What on earth is this ridiculous eyesore?" she demanded in a shrill voice full of disgust. I took a slow, deep breath to stay composed and replied that the repair was now complete. She waved her clipboard like a weapon, her face flushing an ugly shade of deep red. "This violates every single aesthetic rule in our bylaws, and it must be removed right now," she snapped. Her words carried that superior tone she always used when wielding her tiny bit of power. I kept my voice even and pointed out the bylaws only required a smooth, hazard-free surface. The epoxy had made my driveway stronger and smoother than before, so it fully met the criteria. Cynthia stormed away, muttering threats about calling an emergency board meeting and adding more fines. From that day forward, the harassment intensified into a relentless campaign aimed directly at me. She flooded my inbox with daily emails packed with legal-sounding jargon and urgent demands. The neighborhood rumor mill began spinning wildly with stories she spread about my unstable behavior. I learned from a sympathetic neighbor that Cynthia labeled me a dangerous, eccentric artist type. The growing tension made my stomach tighten every time I checked the mail or heard her car. I started documenting everything meticulously, saving every email and recording every conversation legally. My phone captured her unannounced visits and increasingly frantic tirades with perfect clarity. One afternoon she showed up without warning and began measuring the driveway with a tape measure. I sighed deeply and asked her politely to leave my private property right away. She ignored me completely and kept inspecting with that self-satisfied smirk plastered on her lips. That was the moment she crossed the line and accidentally dropped an internal board memo. I picked it up quietly, noticing it proved she targeted me while ignoring her own violations. The memo revealed her plan to make an example out of anyone who challenged her authority. Armed with solid proof, I prepared thoroughly for the emergency board meeting she had demanded. The community center was packed that night with residents whispering excitedly about the unfolding drama. Cynthia sat at the head table looking confident in her power suit and signature pearl necklace. She presented her case with dramatic flair, calling my driveway a serious threat to standards. I waited patiently for my turn, then stood up holding my folder of printed evidence. In a calm, steady voice, I laid out the full timeline of her harassment and bias. The board members shifted uncomfortably as I displayed the memo and highlighted every inconsistency. Gasps rippled through the room when I played the recording of her admitting personal vendetta. Cynthia's face went pale as the mountain of evidence exposed her abuses of power clearly. The board deliberated briefly, then called for a vote that stunned everyone in attendance. She was removed as president effective immediately and stripped of all her authority on the spot. Cynthia sputtered weak protests, but the decision stood and her reign ended in total defeat. The new board thanked me for highlighting the issues and even apologized for the whole ordeal. In the weeks after, they approved my driveway as an artistic enhancement the neighborhood could enjoy. Neighbors began stopping by regularly to admire the crystal surface and pick their favorite fish. Kids from the block gathered after school, laughing and pointing at the swimming toy fish. The whole suburb felt lighter and friendlier without Cynthia's constant micromanaging presence. I sat on my porch one calm evening sipping coffee while the resins sparkled under the sunset. A gentle breeze carried the distant sound of children playing happily down the quiet street. It felt profoundly satisfying to watch her car speed past my house without stopping anymore. In the end, nothing quite exposes the absurdity of small-time tyrants like turning their rules against them. A driveway full of exotic toy fish proved to be the perfect mirror for HOA hypocrisy.